Okay. A few housekeeping notes about how this meeting will work. Attendees are automatically muted with cameras off. Please use the Q&A tool to ask questions. You can ask questions at any time, but we won't get to address them until the end of the meeting. The chat is available, but that's really if you're having trouble connecting. The Q&A is where we would like those questions to go if you can. We have online a wide variety of panelists who are available to answer questions today, and I will be introducing them shortly. If you have any technical issues with Webex, you can reach their support team, and I'm going to give you a phone number here, 866-229-3239, and then extension 2 and extension 1. We've been told that if you're having trouble hearing, trying to re-enter in another browser might be helpful. The meeting is being recorded and will be posted on the OCPS Facilities Communications YouTube page. It will also be posted on Board Member Gould's webpage at ocps.net under School Board. Today we're going to hear about the completed design and what to expect from the construction process. But before we get started, we're going to turn to Board Member Gould. Let me see if she has been able to join us yet. I'm not seeing her on right now. Let me just check one more place. Not seeing her right now, so let me go ahead to the introductions, and then as soon as Board Member Gould comes in, we will pass things over to her. And I do want to welcome County Commissioner Wilson and her office. They're here, and let me tell you who else the panelists are tonight. So we have your area superintendent for this school, who's Jennifer Cupid McCoy. Executive Area Director Wendy Ivory is on the call. Brian Sanchez Corona, who is at Horizon High School as the designated AP for Water Spring Middle School, is joining us. And I see that we have principals on from some of the area schools. So thank you for joining us also. The architect for this project is Harvard Jolly. And you're going to be hearing tonight from April Ann Malik, and Jack Williams is also on the call from Harvard Jolly. The traffic engineer is Dwee Dow with Dow Consultants. The civil engineer is AvCon, and representing AvCon, we have Rick Baldacchi and Aldo Mejias. The construction manager, so the people who are building this campus, are Core Construction, and they're in partnership with Horace Construction on this project. The VP of Core, David Lewis, is joining us tonight. Lena Graham Morris, who's the VP of Horace Construction, may be hopping on. Eric Melbostad is the project director with Core. Laura Luck, senior project manager, and Brandon Rustin, project superintendent, may also be joining us, just depending on what kinds of questions you might have for the construction team. We also have a number of OCPS facilities employees on the line. The design manager, Mo Arthur, I think may be stopping in, and Mike Gallo is going to be on for part of the call. My name is Lauren Roth. I do communications for the facilities department specifically. Our construction planning director, Jessica Lambert, is on the line. From facilities planning, we have Stephen Thorpe. The project management team project manager is Tamara Cox, and I want to bring specific attention to what she does, because what Tamara does is she serves as the go-between between OCPS and the architect and the construction manager, and just kind of make sure that everything runs smoothly. The senior facilities executive director, Rory Salambean, is on, and we also have from OCPS Police, Commander Jamie Alberti. I know he's having some trouble logging in, so I'm not sure if we're going to have him or not. From transportation, we have Adam Zabritsky, and I think we have a fire, health, and safety representative as well. And we have some representatives of our local government. Like I mentioned earlier, Commissioner Wilson is on. And from Orange County Parks and Recreation, we have Matt Sudmeyer. So if Board member Gould has not been able to join us yet. Let me just make sure she hasn't logged on. I'm not seeing her right yet. So let's move on to Brian Sanchez Corona, who's who's leading off this school before it even opens, which is really cool and really rare.
Thank you, Lauren. I wanted to give you guys a quick update. We started out the year with 450 students. We're up to 504. We have 25 dedicated teachers, 4 dedicated support staff, of which is a dedicated nurse just for the middle school. We are our first basketball game ever tomorrow at 5:30 against the Southwest Sea Lions. We have a very engaged community. We're very thankful for them, and we have our attendance for sporting events is pretty high. So I'll end with saying we also have our established motto. I will not yell it too loud, but through the pickup line and the bus loop, you can hear "Go Wildcats" really loud throughout the whole school. So that has already been established. Thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to seeing as we grow where we go from here. So thank you, everyone.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Since I've already done the introductions, we can skip over that. And April Ann Malik is going to lead a presentation showing a little bit more about the site and how it's going to look when it opens.
Yes, so to jump right into the site, this is the Vicinity Plan so that you can get an idea of where we're at. Starting with Horizon High School that we just talked about as your current temporary location for Water Spring Middle School. Across 429, you have Water Spring Elementary School that's already out on site. And next to it is the new site to Water Spring Middle School.
And if I could interrupt for just a second, I'm sorry, there was one person I missed. Diana Almodovar is also on the line with the county, and I didn't want to not mention her because she's really important to our partnership with Orange County. Thank you.
Great. So getting back into the site, looking at the main access road is Water Spring Boulevard along the north side of the site. The secondary road is Point Rock Drive. You can see the current Water Spring Elementary School with Water Spring Middle School just to the left. And then a future county park there's an area designated for that. Now getting a little bit closer into the site, one thing to note is that Water Spring Elementary is on the high end of the site, and then the site actually slopes down to the future county park side of the site. So there are a little bit of retaining walls on the Water Spring Elementary School site. They're very short retaining walls. On the other end of the site, it starts at the ground level, and then it ends up being closer to 11 feet on the other side of the site. Now, getting into more of the function of the school and how traffic will operate on the site, cars are going to come in off of Water Spring Boulevard and stack up in the car loop. And here you can see that we actually go from a single line to double line to really pull a lot of the traffic, all of the traffic off of the road and onto the site with a canopy over here by the multi-purpose building for drop off with cover. And then moving on to buses, we have buses coming off of Point Rock Drive into the campus, and then again another canopy next to the classroom building. Now for walkers and bicyclists, they can come up the north side of the site along this sidewalk, and then there's a bike rack right here as they come into the main entry into the building. And for coming from the other side of the site, they can come up one of these sidewalks and come over to this bike rack and enter the school. Now, the main entry is important for the schools that not only is this your visitor parking area as well as staff, but then we have a single point of entry on all schools. So you get buzzed in from the admin reception. So it's important to know where that is on a campus. We also have a courtyard between the 4 core buildings that we'll get into a little bit later, along with different site amenities and room for future portables, but we don't have any portables starting off there. Now, another thing that we added to the site plan is here you can see the red area is the school zone, and that is the area where there will be flashers on both sides of the school zone for cars to know the school zone area. All right, so getting in a little bit more to the building. Again, we have that main entry just to kind of get everybody reoriented into the administration area. And that's where the admin reception will be to get buzzed into the rest of the school. In that same building, we also have art and other labs like computer labs and business labs. Over here, this building 2 it's your multi-purpose room, which is also your dining area, which has your stage and kitchen. But it also has a music suite that has access to the stage from a corridor to the back side of the stage so that the music suites can access the multi-purpose area along with covered dining. And then the building 3 is this classroom and collaborative area. So there's classrooms with a shared collaborative area in the middle, as well as additional labs. And the 4th building is the gymnasium. Now looking at what that does on the 2nd floor, we have labs in that same building. And then above the administration, we also have the media center. Now building 3 pops up on the 2nd floor, very similar to the 1st floor with classrooms and collaborative spaces, as well as labs. But then the interesting thing is these 2 buildings actually connect with a 2-story walkway. So up on the 2nd floor, it's an exterior walkway, but it connects these 2 buildings. Now looking at that on the 3rd floor, it's just the classroom building that pops up one more floor. Now, the building and site both take into account a lot of sustainable features. For the site, there's native low water landscaping, as well as low impact design for the stormwater design. For the building, we're 10% more energy efficient than ASHRAE standard, which is a standard that we all base our buildings on. We also have high efficiency chillers. We have other features such as a light colored roof and daylighting in the classrooms and lots of other sustainable features. Now looking at this prototype, it's actually been built 2 different times before now. So if you want to see other examples, Innovation Middle School in 2017, and then Horizon West Middle School in 2019. And with a prototype, we also get to have pictures of the existing schools to give you a better look into that. So this is using Horizon West Middle School. And you can see this is the entry, the visitor parking area, as well as that single point of entry with the admin reception behind. Then looking at the lobby, this is once you go into that single point of entry, you have your admin reception, and that's where they can buzz you into the rest of the building. Taking a look at a typical classroom, you can see the setup as well as an interactive flat screen TV. Now this is that collaborative area, which is also called the Technology Resource Center. And there are areas on each floor of the classroom building that are between the other classrooms that the different classrooms can pull out and use this shared area for different things. And this is a typical corridor where you can see that collaborative area between all the other classrooms. Now here's a typical science lab. You can see it also has the interactive flat screen as well as all of your different science cabinets and casework. Now looking into the media center, the media center really uses 21st century design with a lot of different types of spaces and ways that the library can be used within it. This is an example of a CCTV studio. Now looking at an art lab. And now back to that multi-purpose room where you can see the stage at the front of the room. It's also the dining area. And then beyond, you can see it opens up to the kitchen area with the serving lines. Getting a little closer into those serving lines, you can see them with the kitchen beyond. Here's an example of the gymnasium from inside. Now this is that courtyard area that's between the 4 buildings, and you can see here the 2nd story walkway that's on the exterior connecting the 2 buildings, just like you can connect the 1st floor. Looking at some of the site amenities, we have hard courts, we have basketball courts, as well as tennis courts. This is getting to the track with a soccer field within it. And then in the background, you can see the 3-story building. And this is a rendering of your current school and current design. So it's a look into Water Spring Middle School and what your school will look like. All right, now for our construction.
Thank you, April Ann. And the team of Core Horse is really excited to get this project underway. What you're looking at here is our site logistics plan. And that shows you that the entire site will be completely fenced off. We understand that the area, will be a developing neighborhood, and also, the neighboring elementary school activities are nearby. And so nobody will have the ability to wander on site or have access to the site that's not construction related. So, safety is our number 1 pillar in our what we call operational excellence, and for sure on this site. So some of the other things you see here is where we'll be entering and exiting the site. That future park that April Ann mentioned, we will be utilizing for our office trailers and some site storage. And then easy in and out access. Also, the delivery schedule will be such that none of the traffic patterns that currently exist at the elementary school will be impacted. So our deliveries will be off hours from that too. Next slide, April Ann. This next grouping kind of shows you the overall sequence of how we'll erect the structures, and what you'll see. And if you can go ahead and just kind of click through those, and they can read them. For what will seem like a long time, we'll be digging in the dirt doing horizontal work. This is a tilt-up construction project, so the walls of the structures are actually formed on the ground, and then we bring in large cranes to literally tilt up the walls in place. So there'll be the perception is that there's not a lot going on, and then all of a sudden over the summer, over about a 30-day period, buildings will get stood up and there'll be buildings in place. So that's an exciting time and a great milestone to be watching for in the construction of the project. Next slide is just really this overall schedule. And we anticipate a notice to proceed here in the next couple of days, which means we'll get mobilized and start work in earnest on site this month. And we will complete the construction of the project with enough time for OCPS to move in, get acclimated, and start the school year of 2023.
Okay, April Ann, if you don't mind sliding to the next slide so that people can see how they can put questions in the Q&A. We do have a couple questions already lined up in the Q&A, but before I go to those, I did want to ask Commissioner Wilson if she had wanted to say anything to the group.
I just want to thank you for organizing, getting us all here in these kind of wild times with our meetings, hybrid or in person or online. And to see all the details is very exciting. So thank you so much. It's good to see the friendly faces.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So I'm going to go to some, excuse me, there are some questions in the Q&A. There's been a little bit of responding in the chat, but I want to repeat everything out loud so everyone can hear the answers to all of the questions. In addition to Diana Almodovar with Orange County Public Works, Christina Pichardo Cruz is also here from Orange County Traffic. April Ann, if you don't mind jumping back to the site plan, I think that's where we need to start, because that's what the first couple questions are about. Yeah, that's the one. Okay. So there was, I think this might be a Adam Zubritsky question, but it might be a county question. So let me read it out loud, and then my panelists can tell me who this is for. The question is, will buses be told that driving down the narrow back roads to the Point Rock entrance is off limits? So I was thinking maybe it was an Adam question in terms of telling buses what routes to use. But if I'm incorrect and that needs to go to somebody else, that's fine too. So just go ahead and jump in if it's for you.
So they're going to come in off of Water Spring Boulevard to Point Rock Drive and then into the bus loop and then back out the same way, correct?
That's my understanding too. And so I think the thing that I didn't know that maybe some of our folks in planning might know is whether those spurs kind of off to the left of Point Rock, might that be what he means? Are there going to be roads over there leading into the neighborhood?
They should only be using those if there are bus stops on those streets, and that would probably be for a different school, which, could happen, or students that have, ESE students that, transportation challenges or whatnot that we'd have to transport anyway, but unlikely we would need to use those at all otherwise.
Okay, and Adam, like when a bus driver is driving to a school, is there like a set route that you guys tell them to take, or can they just go wherever they want to go?
No, set routes
Okay,
to get to and
great.
from approved bus loops.
Okay, approved bus routes, got it. Okay, so there's a question about whether there will be a traffic light added at Water Spring and Avalon to account for the extra traffic. The gentleman is saying that it's already bad over there with just the elementary school. So maybe Stephen or Diana could address that.
Well, at this, Lauren, at this point, the warrant we conducted did not warrant the traffic signal. Now, that does not mean that when the school opens and the traffic is generated and the warrant is a warrant analysis is conducted again, that it may at that time. However, we are also just starting our study of the segment of roadway south of Water Springs Boulevard. Water Spring Boulevard was the limits of the study for the widening of 545 north of Water Springs, and now internally our transportation planning division is going to be conducting under our CIP program the study for that will include these intersections.
Gotcha. So, when a new school opens, how long after it opens do these things tend to get looked at?
Well, we regularly need a few weeks so that traffic settles, because at the beginning, everybody wants to bring their child to work, to school, bring their, meet the teachers or talk to some of the staff. And everybody drives at the beginning. Then it settles down and the students start coming by, utilizing their bicycles or even walking to school once they are nearby the school and they see that all the sidewalks in the area are in place. Of course, I have Christina Pichardo Cruz is also on this virtual meeting, and she makes note of any gaps in sidewalks or any needs that are in the area. But since we have the elementary school, we already did our initial evaluation when the elementary school opened. So now it's for the middle school that will be added traffic and added potential peak hour congestion in the AM and in the PM. AM usually is the worst case scenario.
Okay, and we do have a number of
Hey,
questions.
Lauren, this is Christina. Just to add to what Diana was saying, we wait about 2 weeks till the school starts in order to do an analysis.
Okay, and the two of you might want to answer some. I'm going to read a couple questions that are all related.
Okay.
So we have someone asking, well, why do we wait until it opens? You know, why don't we put the light in ahead of time?
Because we have to meet warrants before we can install a signal. It's
Yeah, and so just to explain to what warrants is that it has to warrant the light, like there have to be enough cars coming in and out at certain times, correct?
It has to be, the traffic has to be there to be able to construct the signal, or at least even to design the signal. When we do a study of the corridor, we also look at projected trips. In this case, the school is coming in, and since the school board works on the districts and who's going to be going into the school at the very end of the construction of the school. We don't have those projections at that time. So we have only the information for the elementary school at this time. We don't have anything from the middle school. So we need to find out where the children are going to be coming from, where the cars are going to be coming from, and that way we can evaluate that traffic, that additional traffic at the time.
And Diane, if I understand correctly, with the elementary school there at this time, it does not warrant a light?
Correct.
With just the elementary school? Okay.
That is correct.
Okay, and this is kind of a county question too, about crossing guards. Will there be crossing guards? And I don't know, April Ann, if we know on our plan where they would be, but do we know yet, like how many crossing guards and where they'd be, or is it too soon for that?
Christina, do you have that information?
Just to let you know, I'm already in process of studying to see if a crossing guard warrants for the elementary school, which is right there where the bus loop entrance is. So we should be able to have that data in just a couple weeks. Of course, that crossing guard would be able to stay there and continue crossing the middle school students. And then if additional crossing guards are needed, we would look into that once the school starts.
Great, thank you, Christina.
But we always sit down with the crossing guard coordinator from the sheriff's office as well.
Okay. And while we're on this slide, April Ann, can you point out the school zones and where the flashers will be and where the crosswalks are? So there have been some questions about that, and I think, kind of you can see it on here.
Yes, so on Water Spring Boulevard, the school zone is this red area, or kind of red area, showing the start and finish of the school zone. There are flashing signs at both ends of that school zone, as well as you can see crosswalks coming across the road, as well as across our entryway. And for Point Rock Drive, the same thing, this red area with the school zone flashing signs on both sides. And again, crosswalks both across the school as well as across our entry.
Okay, thank you. And one of the members of the public added that the name of the road that's kind of over by the Compass Rose is Oliver Twist, if I'm getting that correctly, and that it'll eventually connect to Point Rock. So I don't know the area well, but if Christina or Diana wanted to address that at all, I think there's just a question about what the traffic would be on that. Like whether that would be an approved route to get to the school or if that's more of a back road.
Which one is that? Is the one that you are mentioning Point Rock Drive, or is there another one?
The mention was that there's another road called Oliver Twist that's going to connect to Point Rock at some point.
Well, from what I understand, Oliver Twist Way is the bus loop right now for the elementary school.
Oh,
Correct.
Yeah.
then that would be connected to Point Rock, would it?
It will.
Eventually, yes, it will connect eventually when it's extended.
Okay, and then will it connect so it'll connect to Point Rock and not directly to the middle school? Okay, yeah, thank you, because I wasn't super familiar with that. So another attendee is asking, is there space for a future garden, like a garden club to operate, or a greenhouse? Do we have any land built in that would fit? I guess April Ann, I don't know if we have any place specifically marked that way, but.
So obviously we currently don't have something specifically marked, but I would like to point out where the Ag Lab is, because the Ag Lab has an outdoor patio. So I think it kind of lends itself to being in this area. Obviously that's an operational thing, so we can't speak on behalf of the garden, but there are definitely opportunities in particularly this area that I would recommend it.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Also, Lauren,
Mhm.
Lauren, we do not provide greenhouses at middle schools. It's just at high schools.
Good point, Jessica. Thank you for pointing that out. So I think this is a Diana question. Someone is asking if the elementary school study about warranting the light was done before that school opened or if it's more recent.
Christina, do you know when that warrant study took place?
It was actually recently.
Okay.
So we studied the area now. I mean, the thing is that we have to look into the traffic that's going in and out of the school, but that's the only current traffic right now from Water Spring Elementary heading to the school. You have traffic for the hour in the morning and then hour in the afternoon, hour to 2 hours, and that's it. That's why it did
Okay.
not warrant.
Thank you. There are two questions about the way the school is going to operate that might be Dr. Cupid-McCoy or Ms. Ivory. So if you want to take these, let me know. There's a question about how the principal naming will work. Given the current situation, having, being operating at Horizon High School. Is there someone who could help me with that one? I don't know. Is there anyone who can address that, or Brian, if you know what the process is going to be? Oh, Dr. Cooper-McCoy, I can't hear you. I can see you're not muted. Here, can you put it in a message to me what you're trying to say, because we can't hear you. Yeah, still not hearing her. Yeah, if you don't mind, Dr. Cupid-McCoy, if you could just put it to me in a message what you're trying to say, because unfortunately we can't hear you. Or can everybody else hear her? Is it just me?
I can't hear her either.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay, so after I get that answer, I will share it. And there was also a question of what volunteer opportunities will be for the local community. And I can just tell you, generally speaking, each school they post opportunities online, and you register to be a volunteer, and then all of those are then matched with volunteers. Thank you, Dr. Cooper-McCoy. All right, she just messaged me. 6 months out, the principal position will be advertised. Okay. Like out from opening? Yes. Okay. 6 months out from opening, the principal position will be advertised. Okay. Awesome. And Dr. Cooper McCoy, if there's anything else you want to add, just pop it to me that same way, and I'll just read it out. Okay, and then there's a question that I think is an Adam question. Does the site plan mean that we will have 28 buses? I think Adam's muted, but I can tell you that just because it can fit that many does not mean it will have that many. That's just the capacity. And if anybody else on the team wants to add anything to that, feel free to jump right in.
Somebody had a question for me?
Yeah, Adam, the question was, the site plan shows a capacity for 28 buses. Does that mean that the school will actually have 28 buses?
Not necessarily. We may not have that many. It's just they build the capacity for more than we're probably gonna have at any given time.
And how does that work? How do you figure out how many buses you're going to need for a school?
Well, it's going to depend on how many eligible students are attending. How many bus eligible students?
Okay. And how far in advance do would people get information on buses?
Well, after the zone is planned out, then we have to look at routes. We have to look at student registrations and whatnot. So probably not till the end of the school year, or I'm sorry, the end of the summer, prior to the first school year.
So not this coming summer, but the summer after, right?
Right, the one right before school would start, we would have those routes available, and then that would determine how many buses.
And how far away do people have to live to to get a bus?
It's at least 2 miles walking distance from the nearest pedestrian entrance of the school.
Okay, great, thank you. I know Board Member Gould is trying to connect. Once I see her, I'll open it up so that she can speak also. Let me see if I think there's some new questions in the Q&A. Okay, there's a question. Future portables are listed on the site. You can see the site plan that there's a spot for them. Do we plan to open with any? I don't think we do at this point, based on projections. Is the Jesma, do you know where we're looking, what our projection number is at this point?
I'm pulling them up right now, but we do not plan to open with portables. But let me pull them up on my screen.
Sure, no problem. And
and again, the enrollment projections are updated every year by our demographer. But let me see what the numbers look like the year we opened the school. So you could go on to another question, and I'll chime in when I'm ready.
Great, that sounds wonderful. Kelly, I just made Kelly, you should be able to speak. So Kelly King is Board Member Gould's assistant, and I know she wanted to say something. So Kelly, you should be able to unmute yourself now.
Thank you, Lauren. Yes, I've been speaking with Member Gould, and she's been having technical difficulties getting into the call, but she wanted everybody to know that she really hoped to be on here, and she's very excited about the project and very thankful that this meeting came together and that everyone's asking great questions. So on her behalf, thank you all for joining.
Thanks, Kelly. And if there's anything else you want to pass along from her while we're on here, please do.
Lauren, I have the numbers.
Great.
Right. So right now, the year it opens in 2023 is projected for 888 students. And the capacity that we're building it for is for 1,215. So that's well under the capacity. The following year, it goes up to a little bit over 1,000 students. So it's the kids are going to grow into the school in the next few years after it opens.
Okay, thank you. And I did just, Kelly, I just emailed you and Ms. Gould some troubleshooting tips for Webex. And if anybody else is having difficulties with Webex or can't hear, the suggestion is to clear out cookies and your cache, and to try another browser if that doesn't work. Restart the device if that doesn't work. we had some issues on a Webex recently, and so we're trying to figure out what works. Let me see. I think there's another question in the Q&A. Well, I'm pulling up the next Q&A question. To the other panelists, are there any questions that came directly to you that I wasn't copied on? Because I want to make sure we don't miss those. Okay. The PTSO chimed in on the volunteering question, so I'll happily read this out loud. Says PTSO plug, anyone looking to get involved can do so now. Absolutely. We are looking for more parents to connect with us and help us get ready for the opening of this new campus. Join our Facebook page and join our monthly meetings in the high school media center. Yeah, so for any neighbors who aren't aware, Water Spring Middle is already operating in a wing of Horizon High School. And so those volunteer opportunities are absolutely there already. And thank you so much, Josh, for chiming in on that, because that's a great point. Jessima, I think this next question is an AP question. Do the enrollment projections just mentioned take into account all of the apartment buildings getting built over the next few years? Can you speak to how that works?
Yes, our demographer pulls information from county databases that lets them know what all of the growth is projected in the area, long-term, all the long-term growth. So anything that's under construction, anything that's platted, anything that's planned, anything that's out in the future, he has access to that information and he applies it with his projections.
And that goes along with birth rates, right? And like the trends.
Yes, cohort survival rates, birth rates, all that's taken into account. Census data. I mean, he has a Rubik's Cube of information that he uses to develop our projections.
Yeah, and I know that the projections even work in you know, in certain neighborhoods, the percentage of parents that send their children to the neighborhood schools, so it's even looked at that way.
Right.
So in neighborhoods where everybody's sending their kids to their local schools because they're awesome, just like this one's going to be, you know, people send their kids, and so you know the numbers are higher because of that.
And it's also based on the number of kids that reside in the zone, not necessarily that attend, because we know we have kids that they're resided for its zone, but for some other reason, maybe going to private school or whatever, they may not attend. So he looks at it holistically, and every year as he gets more information, he works it into his projections. So right now, when the school opens, it's projected to open with 888 students.
Okay, great. And just a comment from Michelle in the audience. Thank you for your time and allowing us to ask questions. I'm excited for my child to attend. So had to read that out loud because that's just so awesome. So I'm going to ask the same question of our panel. Are there any questions that now have you know, been asked of you that we have not gotten to, or are there any you can see that I didn't catch?
I don't have a question. I just wanted to reply about the if there's any development cases that a resident has questions about, we get usually staffing reports, and we can get updates about what the applicant's looking for in dwelling units and what they, you know, we think that timeline is going to look like. So please reach out to my office at the County Commission at District 1 at ocfl.net.
Awesome, thank you. And just lastly, Kelly, is there anything else from Board Member Gould that she wanted us to share? I can put my email and her email in the chat, and Commissioner Wilson, I can put yours in too, if you don't mind reading it to me one more time. What was the email address they can use?
So just I think the easiest one, because it gets to everybody in case, you know, there's somebody that's got some kind of development plan right in front of them, but it'll come through District 1 at ocfl.net.
Awesome. I thought I had that memorized, but just wanted to check.
That's
okay,
perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to put that in the chat before I close it out. But is there anything else that, you know, any of the panelists wanted to say? I'm going to give a last call on questions. if anyone else in the audience wants to ask anything. And
Lauren, this is Kelly. Member Gould doesn't have anything else to add, but she wants everybody to know to please feel free to contact her via email. That's the best way to get in touch if anyone has questions for her.
Okay, and I did just notice one note from Matt Sudemeyer with the Parks and Recreation Division. He said, regarding the garden question earlier, the Parks and Recreation Division may be able to work with the neighbors on a community garden. The park property isn't dedicated to the county as of yet. That's a great point. Thank you so much for pointing that out, because that is really kind of nestled into right next to our site. And so there are some great partnership opportunities there as well. So I did want to mention that there will be another meeting for this school. We'll come back when the construction is almost halfway through. It's usually around the time that those walls start popping up and the roofs start getting put on. Like David was saying earlier, you know, so much of the work is done on the ground and it doesn't look like, you know, anything's going up and then all of a sudden it starts popping up. So around that time, we'll have another community meeting, and that'll be really neat because we'll get to show you pictures of how the site is progressing and images of what it looks like inside while it's being built. So I see I just got one more notification in the Q&A. I think that's it. It was just another thank you. So thank you to everybody for your time and your interest in this school. We can't wait to see it starting to go up and this great school can be moved into its own building. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
You too. Bye.